Have I done something wrong?
Someone's walked in from the other side.
The other side,
Whatever you do, don't panic.
Hi, Howard.
There are some ways to tell the difference, you know, between J.K. Simmons 1 and J.K. Simmons 2, or on either side of the crossing.
Yeah.
Like, he has a beard. Are there other ways to tell, sort of like visually, or that you guys sort of put into the show, or people might know?
Yeah, I mean, J.K. Simmons is a very, you know, in his words, like an inside-out kind of actor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we work very closely on the biography of both characters, where they're similar, where they're different, and then he kind of conjures and creates from the inside the choices that he makes on the outside. You know, whether it's the slow gait of Howard Alpha, kind of defeated man, who's more in the Willy Loman, Death of a Salesman territory as he kind of like lumbers through his environment, or the way even, you know, as we write the character, I noticed that Howard Alpha always kind of apologizes for what he's about to say before he said something, like, I'm sorry, but, and it's like, you would never hear Howard Prime say, I'm sorry, but. He will just come right in with it. And then when you see that, then, okay, so he's going to hold himself a little taller and walk around like he owns the place and have a little shorter fuse when it comes to disagreeing with people or the way things are. And those are all things that JK kind of does. We wanted him to be our signpost that tells us what world we're in, you know, without sort of resorting to the typical tricks of the wig or the eye patch or the mustache or the big scar down the face or whatever it might be.
Like, this world has a blue tint.
Yeah, which is, a big part of it. I mean, it was so tempting. We talked about every different possible thing to do, like a sepia tone or a black and white or anything else, and we just realized that all those formal choices would have really limited us long term when it came to, like, well, what if, like, that tint wouldn't work for that scene? Like, why would we want to be stuck to that? And so we just decided, you know what, we're going to shoot these like they're just two different countries and there's a border between them.
When we left off last season, the show had gone through some pretty big twists and turns.
Yeah.
Can you kind of, you know, where are we this season? What can viewers expect?
This season we're 3 weeks from when we left off. The crossing is closed. Everything has been kind of shut down until they can figure out a solution to this diplomatic stalemate that's occurred. And our two leads, J.K. Simmons and J.K. Simmons, are kind of trapped on opposite sides of the crossing from each other. We knew from the very beginning we had 2 seasons for the show, so this is kind of like an intermission act break going into the second season, where the plot of Indigo is still ongoing, but management on both sides is kind of chasing their own tail as they figure out what the heck is going on.
Speaking of that, let's say, you know, you have a portal and there's another you on the other side.
Yeah.
You know, what would you say if you met that person? And what would you want to know from them?
What
would you think they'd be like?
This is like as where we started as writers on this show when we all first came together and sat in the room together. You know, would you like your other? And that's really the thing that I think we wanted to get at more than anything in this show, because look, we're not the first show to deal with, you know, doppelgangers or 2 worlds or 2 versions of the same self running into each other in any kind of conceit. The thing that to me, we wanted to sit with was, okay, what if I had made different choices at a certain point in my life? Fine, that person would have then grown up in a different way. Now what if I got to meet that person? Would I like that person? Would that person like me? Would I be jealous of what that person has? Would that person covet what I have? And, you know, would we seem like we like each other at the beginning, but then when you peel back the layers, would we slowly begin to compete with each other? Would there be an inevitability to that, like a Darwinian need for survival, where you say, like, oh my God, it's either him or me? Those are the things that keep me up at night when I think about my other self. You know, I think this is a person who knows all my secrets, you know, and who knows all my weaknesses. And I guess I know all his weaknesses too, but would I take advantage of them, or would I be kind of too nice to do it? Or what if I'm too nice, wouldn't he be doing it too? It's all that stuff that I think makes it really fun. You know, you go back to, like, we do a lot of this when we're talking about a Cold War allegory for this show. You know, there was this great thing that Stalin said when, you know, back during the early days of the nuclear arms race, where it was, you know, should we build nuclear weapons? And you know, he had this paranoid, because he's Stalin, paranoid moment of saying, if we're talking about this, then they probably are too. And so we have to do it. We have to take that next step. And I really love that idea of that paranoia of competition. And it's true. And when you're talking about, if I'm thinking about this, then my other's thinking about it too. So I have to act on my own impulses to protect myself and that person. So I don't know. I'd love to think that we'd just get along and be best friends and like all the same TV shows. But I think at the end of the day, we'd probably tear each other apart.
Howard, are you a spy?
No.
Your other is a spy?
I'm not him.